Spoiler warning. The following discussion will contain spoilers. We recommend checking out the movie first, then coming back to hang with us. But if you don't care about that, glad to have you here. All right, everybody, welcome back to another episode of The Real Review. My name's Kevin.
And I'm John.
And we are The Real Movie Guys. Welcome back to another episode of Stay Out of the Water Month, where we take a look at some of the deep, dark, creepy crawlies in the ocean and let you know our fine thoughts on those movies. Today's episode, we will be reviewing the much reviled, disgusted, hated movie known as Jaws: The Revenge. What is Jaws' Revenge about? Well, Ellen Brody believes her family is the target of a shark's revenge when her son Sean is murdered in Amity Harbor by none other than a great white shark. Ellen travels to the Caribbean with her son Michael and his family so they can mourn together. However, the great white is not too far behind, seeking out the Brody family. Yeah, so a shark travels from New England to the Caribbean to get revenge on a family, even though the shark never isn't related to, assumingly, any of the other sharks.
No, he's like the ninth cousin to the first shark.
Yeah, if you ever wanted to see the worst movie ever made, some people would say The Room, but I think The Room is funny. The Room is ironically funny. Some people say Samurai Cop, which is another terrible movie, similar to The Room. Those movies were done by directors that had no idea what they were doing, so it ended up being ironically hilarious. This movie, on the other hand, is by far the worst movie ever made, I'd have to say. Especially when what it stems from is so insulting. To even Jaws 3D, this movie is insulting to. And Jaws 3D got an F in our last review. From both of us, it got an F. So to be that bad, you really tried, movie, and you did it. You succeeded in being the worst thing I've ever seen. I want to give two positives.
Okay.
Because there are two, right? The first one is, and I think this is hilarious. So this is a shark attack movie that takes place in summer in all the other movies. But this movie had to be daring and bold, right? This movie said, ho, summer you say? Let's take place during Christmas. A Christmas shark attack. That's right. Jaws: The Revenge takes place during Christmas.
You know, if they gave him a Santa hat and a Santa beard.
Oh, they should have. Santa sharks coming to town to destroy you.
They would have made this even better. He brought some presents.
So if you want to watch something on Christmas, I'm going to start championing this. I think Jaws: Revenge should be the new Christmas classic. Forget your Home Alones. Forget your Christmas vacations.
Forget Christmas Story.
No,
I want this playing.
We want Jaws
24 hours.
I want a 24-hour marathon of Jaws: The Revenge on Christmas Day, and I better get it.
I want this on TNT and TBS. What's wrong with these people?
And then there's one other scene. There's one thing that's positive. There's one scene in this movie that every time I see it, I crack up. And
the ending credits.
Not even that. No, there's a legitimate scene. I laugh so hard every time that it just bewilders me. And there's a little bit behind this. So Michael Caine's in this movie. John, do you know why? Do you know what the relation is to Michael Caine in this movie? Do you know why this is like famous?
Nope.
This is what Michael Caine likes to call a paycheck movie. And he said this, and this is a real thing. He does movies just for the paycheck, and we all assume actors do that, right? I don't think it's any mystery. So Michael Caine just said, I don't remember, the quote goes along the lines of, I don't remember Jaws: The Revenge, but I do remember the house it bought me. So,
you know what?
And that's even funnier. And the worst part is, and I feel bad for Mr. Sir Michael Caine here, is the fact that he won, I think it was an Oscar for another movie that he was in, but he couldn't accept the Oscar because he was too busy filming Jaws: The Revenge.
I think he should have to give back his house for this.
It's funny, and the reason I tie this on to Michael Caine is he has one scene in this movie. It's towards the end of the movie, right?
Mm-hmm.
He's on the plane. everyone gets out of the plane. Ellen Brody's in the middle of the ocean in her stupid boat that she stole to go chase down the shark for whatever reason. Oh, we're going to get into this. So he lands the plane in the middle of the ocean. Everybody gets out. They get into the boat. So he's like, oh, all right, I'm going to go and get off the plane. And then suddenly the shark pops out of the water at him. And you just hear him go, oh, shit.
You're all the same. Complain. Oh, shit.
And he just jumps right back into the plane. It's so unenthusiastic and like, it's the best oh shit I think I've ever heard in a movie. He literally just like, oh shit. And he like just jumps back in. And every time I see it, I die. It's like, is that what he felt? That's probably how he felt about this movie. That's how I feel about this movie. Oh, shit.
That's what he felt when he saw that shark. He's like, oh shit, that doesn't even look real.
Yeah, I think he's just so like uninspired. It's the funniest thing. It will definitely be spliced in this review at some point, just for all of you to see. Because if you're gonna watch anything, just that one line, they'll have you rolling on the floor, just Michael Caine, you're going, oh shit.
Oh, you're gonna be watching this every Christmas now.
So yeah,
Christmas tradition.
So let's get into this terrible movie now that I think I've gotten all the positives out of the way. The only other positive I would say is it ended.
And it had Jaws, the name in it.
Not even. That's a negative. So, the plot. Okay. We talked about the plot briefly, right? We talked about a shark travels from New England to the Caribbean, Bahamas area to get revenge on a family. Okay. So, apparently that's a good idea. He kills Sean, the youngest son. He kills him. Sean apparently is a cop now. We like to ignore Jaws. Apparently they wanted to think they were better than Jaws 3D and decided to ignore Jaws 3D.
Good job.
Sean is a cop now, randomly in Amity. Michael, I guess, doesn't work for SeaWorld anymore, or whatever his job is. He has a new girl that's not the girl from the last movie who he was pining the whole movie. Oh, should I marry her? Should I not marry her? And apparently they were going to get married. I guess they didn't, because not in this movie, so
she got eaten by a shark.
Yeah, so we just ignored Jaws 3D for whatever reason, which and you know what, ironically may make sense because we talked about, I think it was in the Jaws 2 review, how we never really saw Jaws 3D on TV, so maybe that was the reason why, because they're like, well, it didn't really happen anyway, so what's the point of showing it?
Yeah, nobody saw it.
Right. So Sean dies terribly in this. This movie has the worst effects I think I've seen in like a movie in general. It's just like a bunch of flashes. Sean's on a boat and he like leans over a little bit and his arm gets bit off, right? And the shark like chomps some of the boat. You don't even see anything. There's just blood, red stuff being thrown everywhere. I don't think it's even blood. It's just red water being thrown everywhere. And quick cuts to like a bunch of teeth. And Sean's screaming, but he's not even really that upset about it.
No.
Which is weird.
Oh, yeah, whatever.
He's like, oh no, my arm. And then somehow the shark gets on the boat and kills him, but leaves the boat intact, I guess. That was weird. I don't know. He just dies. And then...
Isn't that what sharks do? They attack you to just take you off your boat.
Apparently, they seek revenge on you for your family. So...
That's right. They know where you live.
I guess. I don't know. I mean, I hate even... This movie is so... It's so difficult to even summarize this movie because it's so stupid. There's so many problems, right, with this movie. Brody's wife, Ellen Brody, she gets a bigger role in this movie, and she's a terrible actress. I haven't seen her in anything else that I can recall. I'm sure there is something, and I'm just not thinking of it. She's so terrible. She's like grunt crying throughout the whole movie. She's like, it's not even like crying. It's like weird noises that are coming out of her. And I get she's a grieving widow, but goddamn, man, like seriously, get your crap together a little bit. It's like,
yeah, really.
And oh my god, and she's just so bad. And I think one of the best scenes, I think, to show how bad she is, and I don't know what they were going for. Maybe I can try to summarize what they're going for. So we're at Sean's funeral in the movie, right? And she just starts laughing. right? She's just like cracking up when they're like giving the eulogy, giving the, we miss him, blah 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 blah. And Lorraine Gary, who plays her, just starts like cracking up.
Yeah, it's weird.
I guess she's trying to remember the good times, like remember the good memories. So she's like ha ha ha, laughing. No, you're just cracking up. It's just weird.
I think she was just laughing at her career.
No,
going down the toilet.
Right, and then we go to the Caribbean. Right, so she goes after the funeral. She's all sad. She goes with Michael to the Caribbean, and Michael is a scientist. Again, we're ignoring the last movie. He wasn't a scientist, but that's what it is. He's a scientist now, and there's a really offensive Jamaican character, which I don't think he's actually Jamaican. I could be wrong, but he says "man" so many times that it's almost comical. He's like, "Yeah, man, okay, man." I think it's kind of offensive, and I feel bad. Like he's just like really. I don't think he's Jamaican. I'm not 100% sure. I could be wrong, but I don't think people really just talk like that in general, which I think is like a stereotype of offense right there.
Yeah.
It's just that's really bad. So Michael's like, I guess they're getting hired to research fish in the ocean, and then suddenly the shark appears.
Oh.
And even better in this scene, right? Even better with that, the first time they see the shark, they look pissed off. They're standing on the boat, and the shark head like pops out of the water at them like that and tries to grab the boat, drag the boat down, or bites a piece of the boat. Like they're not scared. They're like, "What the hell is this?
Why do you follow us?"
They're like really annoyed, and it's like, really, you're not scared that a shark just tried to bite your boat and sink it?
No.
Yeah, no.
And the acting in this is terrible.
Well, the acting just gets bad throughout. I mean, you have, like I said, Ellen Brody. She's afraid of all her family going in the water, yet she goes in the water occasionally, so that doesn't make much sense. And then she meets Michael Caine's character, and they strike up a romance, so you have like a terms of endearment storyline going on along with friggin' Jaws, for whatever reason. And we even get to the best parts. So the best parts is she has a psychic connection to the shark.
Whoa.
Right? So she can see things before they happen through the shark's eyes. She has premonitions about the shark attacks that are incoming to kill her family.
Damn, too bad she didn't know her son was going to die.
Too bad she didn't know she was going to be in a terrible movie.
Oh, she knew that.
It's just, it gets worse from there. And then the shark goes after Michael again while he's underwater. I talked about in the last movie, we're going to talk about it. So there's an underwater scene, which, it might have been okay in theory, but the way it's shot is this big, it's like a big, ever see like a big fat guy going through a small hole? That's what I reckon. Yeah. That's what this shark looks like. It's the stiffest, woodenest shark, and they just like shove it through like a hole. It just looks so. I can't. You have to watch it. You actually have to watch that to see it. And then the shark breaks through the wall, and Michael has like a scuba tank that he uses as a jetpack to get out of the ocean. Which, going from that depth will probably cause your ears and eyes to like explode, probably from the depth change. But whatever, logic. Yeah, and they come to the realization that a shark is hunting after us. It's hunting after our family. We didn't even talk about Chief Brody. Chief Brody's killed off in between movies, so you know that how important he was. He died of a heart attack because he was so afraid of the shark it killed him.
Oh.
Yeah.
Can you imagine that's one of your plot lines?
Yeah. If you couldn't tell by now at this point, this movie makes absolutely no sense whatsoever.
Nothing.
I don't know what they were going for. I don't know what they were trying to do. It's weird cuts. There's just weird cuts. The psychic boring. It's boring. That hasn't changed. I guess it kept one thing consistent in all these movies. It's boring. The shark looks worse in this movie than it did in any of the other movies. It looks worse than the Jaws 3D shark that barely moved.
Could you imagine each Jaws, the shark gets worse and worse? Though we get better technology and everything gets better.
Right. It's funny. Like, I would say the only redeeming character in this movie is probably Michael Caine, just because he's Michael Caine, not for any other reason. I think he's enjoyable enough, which is just crazy. It's crazy. So let's talk about the end, right? Now, the interesting thing there's two endings to this movie, which is weird. I had to look it up because I wasn't sure. It's also on the Blu-ray release for this movie. There are actually two endings, right? So the first ending, like we said, we're in the middle of the ocean. John, why don't you describe the ending to this movie for everybody?
Terrible.
Well, we know it's terrible. What happens in the ending?
Honestly, I can't remember.
I can't remember. So they create a device. Michael and his friend, they create a device that will cause sonar waves. From what I can understand, sonar waves to distract the shark and cause him to explode. If it's shot, or I don't even know. I think it has to be shot. It'll just cause the shark to explode. So they throw it into the shark. They stab the shark with it, or they throw it in his mouth, and the shark's coming after them. And Michael has like a little device. He's like turning, right? And the shark pops out of the water and roars like Tom and Jerry. This is a fact. It's actually the Tom and Jerry roar from the cartoon is used on this shark. When he pops out of the water, the shark roars, right? He does that a few times, and then they stab him with the boat, and he explodes.
Smile, you son of a bitch!
So that's the real ending. That's the first ending, and then I didn't say also Michael's partner he gets bit by the shark and somehow lives, which is fantastic. I don't know how that happened. He gets like taken down in the ocean by the shark, but he's okay. Everyone lives. You couldn't even kill any of the cast. Everybody lives at the end of this movie. That's the first ending. That's the original ending. So that was that was the second ending because they didn't think the first one had enough bombastic explosion in it. So the original ending, they just stab the shark and he bleeds out to death and dies on the boat.
Seriously?
And it's like geysers of blood. Look this up. There's geysers of blood flowing out of this fake blood flowing out of the shark. And he dies.
Oh my gosh. That just goes along with the rest of the whole movie.
This movie's bad. And it sucks. I hate talking about terrible movies. I really don't like talking about terrible movies. Just because there's nothing to add to the conversation. There's nothing to learn from it. It's just bad. I feel bad. I feel bad for everyone that worked on this movie. Like, I don't know if they knew it was going to be bad. I don't think you do. There's a famous quote from Bruce Campbell. They asked him about, I can't remember what movie. It was Congo. They asked him, because Congo was like a big flop and everyone hated that movie. So did you know, like, why would you do Congo? That's stupid. He's like, well, when you get a script, the script looks good and you don't always know. And then when you film the movie, that's when you find out how bad it is. So don't blame me. I'm just doing what I'm supposed to do. It's taking the role. That's what I feel like everybody got involved with in this movie. It's just terrible. It's so bad.
Yeah, I agree.
And I think I could even forgive everything in this movie. I can move past it. I could forgive it. The biggest thing it does to me, the most insulting thing this movie does, is it insults the legacy of the first movie. So what do you mean by that, Kevin? Well, Kevin, what I mean by that is throughout the movie there's these like sepia-toned flashbacks of the original movie that happen a lot. That happens a lot, quite a few times actually. And they show like Brody, they show him shooting the shark, and he says like, "Smile, you son of a," and then the shark actually explodes. The biggest offensive scene was, and when we talked about Jaws 1, my favorite scene was the scene where Sean imitates Brody at the kitchen table, and it was so organic, it was so natural, it was so awesome. In this movie, they try to replicate that. They show a flashback to it for whatever reason, because we needed to be reminded, and Michael's doing it with his daughter. His daughter's doing the same thing. It looks so fake and out of place, it hurts. And not even that, it's not the right kid doing it. So it makes no sense on top of that. This movie's just an insult. It's a slap to the face. My final score for Jaws the Revenge, if I could give lower than an F, I would. Jaws the Revenge is an F.
Oh, shit!
John, I think I know where you stand with this, but what's your final score?
Double F.
Oh, shit!
Double F.
Utterly terrible.
This movie's bad. I mean, it's not even like I said, I joked about, Jaws 3D so good, so bad it's good. You can have a good time. Stay far away from this movie. There's a reason it killed the franchise. There's a reason I think this movie maybe I'm giving it too much credit. I think this soured a lot of people's thoughts about a sequel to like those big budget movies. I think this is why people don't like sequels to things. I think when things like this happen, people think, oh crap, Jaws. I think Jaws left such a bad taste in a lot of people's mouths that they hate sequels because of this. Because we do have a lot of great sequel movies. Some cases you have movies that are better than the original. Not the case. I think this movie damaged an industry beyond repair. I really do.
Yeah, it's true. I agree.
Yeah. So John, where can the people find us at home?
You can find us on YouTube at TheReelMovieGuys. We want you to like our video, subscribe to our channel. Tell us in the comments below what you thought of this movie. And if, by God, you liked it for some odd reason. Also, you can find us on Twitter at TheReelMovieGuy. You can hit us up there. And we're also on many platforms for podcasting, such as...
Yes, we are available for podcast listening at iTunes, Spotify, Anchor, Google Podcasts, Breaker, Radio Public, and Pocket Casts. Be sure to give us a listen at any of those fine places, and if you already are right now, hey, we greatly appreciate it. Just search for Real Movie Guys, and we'll pop right up. I'd like to thank you all in joining us for this, morning of the Jaws franchise and the Real Review this on today's episode. My name is Kevin. This guy over here, his name's John. We are the Real Movie Guys. Real guys, real movies, real thoughts. We'll see you next week, or next episode for the Meg. I think it's going to be better than this, at least I hope. And just remember, stay out of the water. We'll catch you next time, guys.
See you.